It's Jeff again, looking for a place to park. Let me see if I can find a little bit of space. Space is how we create rhythm. That's a note. That's a rhythm. That's a little slower rhythm. A very fast rhythm. So space is what actually creates what we play in time. So space is probably the most important aspect of drumming. I wanted to talk a little bit about subdivisions, but I don't want to go too deep into it today. Subdivisions can be rather complicated when you start to talk about each subdivision has a triplet grouping, which is the idea of fitting 3 notes into the space where there were only 2 notes before. And then you start to talk about polyrhythmic phrases, which could be 2 notes within 3, or 5 notes over the space of where 2 notes once it only took up that space. And that's pretty infinite. If you really study the idea of polyrhythms and phrasing, you can almost play a note in any given amount of space and explain it through some sort of polyrhythmic structure. Now, polyrhythm means more than one rhythm at a time. So what I wanted to share with you is the idea of just playing one rhythm in one space and using that space to divide it into what we call subdivisions. Think of where you live. Maybe you live in an area where they started with a block of land and they broke it up into smaller blocks of land and built houses. So they built a subdivision. And in much the same way, some teachers explain this as maybe a pie or a pizza. And so you're not going to have any more pizza or pie than you start with. There's just different ways to divide it up. Maybe you divide it in half. So instead of having the whole note, now you have 2 half notes. You can divide again, and you have quarters. And again, you get 8ths, and so on and so forth. I'm going to switch sticks for this one. I think I was using the Vic Firth SD1 Generals the last time. And this is a company called Cooperman. They're known for their drum and fife drums and custom frame drums. Beautiful drums, but they also they also create perfectly matched sticks. These happen to be a gram weight of 61, and they feel really nice. I like something that's really balanced when I'm working on subdivisions or working on trying to balance my hands. It's very important to have a nice pair of balanced sticks. Now, one of the other most important parts about learning our rhythm and the idea of space is to create something to play with. And this could be anything from your favorite song that you're just listening to and jamming along, or more commonly, drummers use a metronome. It's your best friend and worst enemy all in the same box. I've been searching my whole life for one that didn't speed up or slow down, that would just hang with me. And fortunately, that is not the case. You have to learn how to play with the metronome. You go in the studio, you're going to play with the click track many times. And you have to be able to express yourself within that space that the click track allows. If I start the metronome and it keeps a regular pulse for me, then I can practice how my space feels compared to the space of the metronome. And to start with, you could just name these as quarter notes. This could be any subdivision. It could be any numbered beat that you want to, any count that you want to. You can go e, ah, ooh, if you want to. Typically, we put numbers with it. So we're going to call it a 4-beat count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I believe I left you last time with paradiddles. Remember that? That would be right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So if we play paradiddles, right? Left, right, right, left, right, left. I'm trying to stay right with the metronome. And there's something to be said about breathable time and musicianship to judge whether you want to play on the beat, ahead of the beat, behind the beat, and certain styles require that. When I'm warming up, I want to feel like I'm not necessarily a drum track, but I have a little bit of flow, I have a little bit of freedom to play wherever I want to around that beat, as long as I'm playing in time. Now again, these are quarter notes, as we stated at the beginning. We just pick that out of thin air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm using the paradiddle sticking. Left, right, left, left. Of course, I started with my right, left, right, right, left, right. Now if I double, I'll go to eighth notes. 1 and 2 and I can play that as a paradiddle. We talked about doubling time in the last video. I'm going to go back to the quarters. Right, left, right, right. And this time when I double, I'm going to do 2 on my right hand, 2 on my left hand, and then 4 on the right hand. Let me get through a cycle, and then I'll start it here. Right, right, left, left, right, right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've doubled the time. And now I'm playing twice as many as the metronome beat. But it still gives me an anchor point to match up to. Don't worry if you get off. There's always a chance to fall back in. Now we'll discuss the idea of subdivisions a little bit later. But on the next cycle, I'm going to see if I can fit 3 in the same place that I just fit 2. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. So what I'm playing, right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, left. So I'm playing 3, 3, 6, 3, 3, 6. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Now, I could take it up again. I'm going to try to fit in 4. And that would be 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. Very relaxed. I'm trying to balance my hands and make sure that all the space is even. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2. That's the technical count. Ooh ah e ah, ooh ah e ah, ooh la la la, ooh la la la, ooh ah e ah, ooh ah e ah, ooh la 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 la. You can use anything you want. Could we fit 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be 16th note triplets. You don't have to remember that. We'll talk about subdivisions later. What about 8, 8, 16? 1 E and a 2 E and a always harder to go down than up. Eighth notes. So I'm 2, 2, 4 for the eighth notes. 2, the right, 2 left, 8 right, 4. And I'm all the way back to paradiddles on the quarter note. So I realized that I got off a little bit on the last part of that. When you're increasing your time, it's easy to push the energy and push into the beat. When you're slowing down or going backwards through these subdivisions, sometimes that can be a lot more difficult. It's a lot harder to slow down because you have to picture the time that you're going into. When you're speeding up, you can kind of rush into it. Now, of course, as drummers, we always try to develop perfect timing. Not everybody has perfect timing, but the idea of developing that can be kind of fun. This is an exercise that I warm up with a lot of the times just to get the movement going in my body. When I first start my warm-ups, I want something that just sort of opens up the channels and sort of lets me start to feel where the music's going to come from. And so going through subdivisions like that, it at least gives me a starting point before I start to make all these crazy combinations and build into more complex patterns. I hope it helped you. I promise I'll practice. In the next video that I make, I'll even be better with my space. Until then, keep the rhythms going.